Mel Brooks, a towering figure in comedy, has nothing left to prove, and he's not holding anything back. In a candid twist, the iconic filmmaker behind some of Hollywood's wildest comedies unveiled a list that caught fans off guard. 6 actors he found incredibly challenging to work with. Of course, in true Mel Brooks fashion, challenging comes laced with satire and sincerity, a mix of fond jabs and raw truths from decades spent navigating the unpredictable world of entertainment. Some of these stars made him laugh too much. Others drove him to the edge with their obsessive perfectionism. Together, they form a lineup that reads like a heartfelt, if brutally honest, tribute to those who left an unforgettable mark on his career, both for better and for worse. The first name on the list? Dom DeLuise. Working with Dom wasn't difficult in the traditional sense. He wasn't difficult because of bad behavior or a lack of professionalism. Quite the opposite. His problem was that he simply couldn't stop laughing. That may sound like a minor issue, but on a movie set, it became a recurring nightmare. Dom would burst into laughter at the smallest joke, the slightest facial expression, or even nothing at all. He'd lose it in the middle of scenes, or before they even started. Mel once likened directing Dom to babysitting. Scenes had to be reshot over and over, with some lines needing 5 or 10 takes. Mel would shout in frustration, only to be met with more laughter. Despite this, the two collaborated on multiple projects: Silent Movie, History of the World, Part 1, Spaceballs, and Robin Hood, Men in Tights. And in every one, Dom's uncontrollable laughter became a recurring issue. Mel recalled moments when Dom would quite literally fall out of his chair, cover his face, and gasp like he had just heard the funniest thing on earth. Even if the joke wasn't his. What made things worse was how Dom reacted to others. Pairing him with the likes of Madeline Kahn or Harvey Korman spelled disaster. Just a raised eyebrow from Madeline could completely unravel him. Mel recounted a moment in History of the World where Dom had a single line. Just one. But before he could deliver it, Madeline made a small expression, and Dom was done. His laughing fit lasted 45 minutes, while the entire crew stood by, waiting. To try and manage the situation, Mel adjusted how he filmed Dom. He'd angle shots to keep Dom away from co-stars, or even out of frame altogether. Anything to contain the chaos. Nothing worked. Mel confessed that he couldn't bring himself to fire Dom, because whenever they did manage to get a clean take, it was pure comedic magic. Frustrating as it was, Dom's brilliance couldn't be denied. His comic timing was impeccable, and his joy was contagious. When he wasn't laughing, he hit every note perfectly. Despite the challenges, Mel and Dom remained close friends off set, a testament to the deep bond they shared through the madness of movie making. Dom loved cooking and brought pasta to set. He fed and joked with the crew like family. In jest, Mel never stopped complaining. He loved recounting Dom's impossibility. He said, "I cut Dom more than any other actor," and half the time, he was the reason. Mel hated working with Dom, but it was love. Dom was annoying on set, but fun off. He brought laughter everywhere. Maybe too much. Mel knew no one else had that spirit. Like opposites. Somehow it worked. Dom's laughter slowed everything. He delayed the crew. He tried Mel's patience. But he improved the films. Mel knew. Everyone knew. Mel complained that he ruined scenes but made movies. Mel Brooks has no filter at 98. He recounts his career honestly. Dom immediately came up when asked who he hated working with. Mel couldn't say it without smiling. Never true hatred, like hating your best friend when they're driving you crazy, is full of love. Dom DeLuise ruined every set. He ruined takes. He delayed everyone. He also made people laugh, always on off screen. Mel hated it. He enjoyed that. Dom makes the list because of that. Mel Brooks always called Madeline Kahn one of his most talented collaborators. She was smart, funny, and had a rare sense of timing. She also drove him insane. He made some of his best films with them. She appeared in Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, High Anxiety, and World History Part 1. She delivered unforgettable performances in every film. However, behind the scenes was not always easy. Madeline was picky. She meticulously considered every detail. She did more than read the script. She disassembled things. She changed. She doubted almost everything. She requested rewrites for unsatisfactory lines. She called out bad costumes. She demanded high standards from others. Mel often arrived late to set. The crew would prepare, cameras would be installed. They waited. She entered calmly, smiling, and as if nothing was wrong. This drove Mel crazy. After the camera rolled, it was hard to stay mad. She always delivered. Lily von Stoop, the exhausted singer with a dramatic flair, was her Blazing Saddles character. The role was classic. Her lines are still quoted. Mel said filming those scenes was exhausting. She wanted to alter the scene constantly. She tried new deliveries, rewrote her dialogue, and suggested changes to the other actors. Mel often felt like he was following her. He said he asked her to perform a line as they had practiced. She said she found a better way. Mel admitted she was often right, but that didn't help. That happened in Young Frankenstein. Elizabeth, the main character's dramatic and spoiled fiancée, was played by Madeline. She was ideal for the role. The process was difficult. She requested more takes. Different camera angles were requested. She argued about lighting. Mel said she made every scene twice as hard to shoot, but twice as good. Crew members noticed too. Many whispered that Madeline was brilliant, but intense. Mel joked that directing her was like wrestling a cat in the rain. But he kept casting her. That was significant. Mel could have worked with many actresses, but picked Madeline. He knew she brought something special. Her tone, expressions, and timing. Everything contributed something unique. Their relationship was odd. They respected each other but often fought. Some days were quiet. Arguments filled other days. Madeline desired control. Mel wanted speed. They both wanted greatness. Mel once said she made him rewrite a scene because she didn't like her character's couch. His first impression was that she was difficult. He later conceded her point. On camera, the new couch looked better. He said moments like that were frustrating but showed her attention to detail. He also said she made everything about her character. She wished her scenes stood out. She wanted to speak. This sometimes caused set tension. When edited, her choices often improved the scene. Strong-willed Madeline. She persisted. She fought for her goals. That made her difficult to work with, but memorable. Mel is honest at 98. He hated working with Madeline and 6 other actors. He clarified that the hate was frustration, not dislike. He said she pushed him too hard, made his job twice as hard, but gave him unmatched results. He remembered the chaos, long waits, and endless debates. He remembered the laughs, brilliant takes, and scenes that still work after all these years. Madeline Kahn was hard. She was demanding, late, and opinionated. She was one of the best. She made the list because of that. Not because Mel hated her, but because she was difficult and made everything better. 3. Mel Brooks only worked with Gene Hackman once. It was for Young Frankenstein, but the brief role left a lasting impression. Gene, a great actor, came from another world. Mel said their personalities clashed. One of the film's funniest scenes featured Hackman as the blind hermit. Though brief, the scene became famous. It had slapstick, timing, and awkward kindness. The scene made people laugh for years, but Mel said filming it wasn't as fun. Hackman starred in serious roles. Already an Oscar winner, his style was dramatic and strong. He prepared much. He took orders seriously. He expected others to focus on the work too. That went against Mel's routine. Mel liked working fast. Loved loose scenes and surprise laughs. He encouraged actors to experiment immediately. He valued energy over perfection. Hackman didn't like that. A clear plan was desired. He wanted rehearsal to final take to be the same scene. Mel said Hackman's set mood was intense. He wasn't rude. He was pro. He disliked the chaos. Hackman concentrated while Mel and the crew joked between takes. He rarely joked. Even though his role was silly, he took it seriously. A few minor disagreements occurred during filming. Hackman sometimes requested more rehearsals. Mel thought that slowed things. Mel thought a little messiness improved the comedy, while Hackman wanted every shot perfect. They both wanted the scene to work, but approached it differently. Mel admired Hackman's work. He called him sharp and brilliant. He also said working with him was like playing jazz with a textbook reader. Their rhythms differed greatly. The scene worked despite the tension. Hackman performed hilariously. The timing, physical comedy, and quiet kindness worked. Audiences loved it. Mel said the process was hard but yielded gold. After Young Frankenstein, they never collaborated again. Mel said reintroducing Hackman to his wild world was pointless. Hackman enjoyed playing the role, but Mel's loose sets didn't suit him. He liked control. Mel liked liberty. They both knew. Mel remembered Hackman volunteering for the film. He asked Gene Wilder for a comedy role because he wanted to do it. Mel was glad to include him. Hackman's initial request surprised him. He doubted Hackman would want to star in a silly black and white comedy, but he agreed. Still, that seriousness showed on set. Mel said Hackman stayed in character while the cast joked. He disliked time wasting. He disliked retakes due to actors laughing. Mel laughed when he said Hackman looked at him when someone ruined a take. Why are we doing this if no one can be professional? It wasn't mad, just a different mindset. Hackman was dramatic. Mel's comedy background, both methods worked, sometimes apart. Apparently it taught him, great actors vary. Some excel at comedy. Some need precision. Some, like Hackman, change the room with their intensity. The Young Frankenstein scene is still beloved. It shows that their styles could meet once. It also shows that tension can make great comedy. 4. Mel Brooks admired Cloris Leachman. He considered her one of his best actors. She was smart, talented, and fearless on screen. She caused him more headaches than anyone else behind the scenes. They collaborated on Young Frankenstein, High Anxiety, and World History. Part 1. She always brought power to the role. She also argued. Numerous. Strong-minded Cloris. She didn't blindly follow. Mel didn't just nod and smile when giving notes. Why? She asked. She disputed him. She suggested alternatives. She sometimes disobeyed him and did her own thing. That drove Mel crazy. He said directing Cloris was like riding a dead horse. She was lively. She focused. She disliked being told what to do. She would follow her own path if she thought it was best, regardless of others. Frau Blucher, the creepy housekeeper with a secret, was her Young Frankenstein role. This role was iconic. Her voice, gaze, and line delivery were flawless. Mel said getting there was hard. Cloris envisioned the character. She wished Frau Blucher were darker and more serious. Mel wanted her odd, warm, and funny. They fought over that. Cloris thought Mel's role lacked depth. Mel thought Cloris overthinking. Never loud or mean, their arguments were constant. Mel said one thing. Cloris resisted. This was followed by another take her way. Sometimes her version worked better. Mel sometimes begged her to try his way once. He said her endless questions wore him down, not yelling or drama. She inquired about every line, move, and reaction. She had to know her character before performing. That was respected by Mel, but he admitted it slowed things. She made every scene feel like a college debate, he said. She wanted to see every emotion and reason in one glance. That strengthened her acting, but made Mel's job harder. Same story in High Anxiety. She played strange, controlling Nurse Diesel in a twisted hospital. Her performance was memorable again. Again, she fought Mel over tone and direction. She wanted less chaos and more control in the role. Mel preferred the opposite. He liked unusual and fast. Cloris wanted them focused and tight. Both were right, but they argued. Mel once said Cloris looked like she wasn't buying what he was saying. She stared at him until he conceded. He sometimes did. He stood firm other times. He said the scenes were great either way. Mel cast her despite the stress. That was significant. He believed she could deliver. He knew the results would be worth it. But he never forgot the effort to get there. Their offset relationship was warm but distant. They liked each other, but rarely saw each other. Mel claimed to be alone. Questions, ideas, and emotions galore. She earned his respect. He also said he needed a nap after a day of filming with her. He joked that Cloris was so committed she would have played her role silently, if it helped the scene. She didn't want praise or screen time. She only cared about character truth. Mel said her focus made her great but exhausting. She didn't tolerate anything. She didn't cut corners. She gave her all in every take. She made him defend his choices. She questioned his style. She made him think harder. That exhausted her but made her memorable. Melissa didn't hate her. He hated her accuracy most of the time. She tried his patience but never failed him. Richard Pryor was Mel Brooks' first choice for Blazing Saddles' lead. Richard was ideal for Mel. He was raw, smart, and fearless. His wit was sharp, and he went where others wouldn't. It didn't go as planned. Blazing Saddles was co-written by Richard Pryor. He influenced the film's wild humor and bold lines. His edge gave the story realism and daring. He saw racism as absurd and used comedy to break it down. His ideas introduced new elements to the film. Mel said Blazing Saddles would be different without Richard. Mel wanted Richard to play Bart, the black sheriff who shocks a racist town. The role was written for him. But the studio declined. They feared. Richard was famous. Known for unpredictability. His drug use was harmful. He missed meetings. He sometimes arrived late or not. No studio believed he could lead the film. Mel was told to find someone else. Mel fought to keep Richard in the film. Richard was the project's soul, he told the studio. He said Richard's humor and perspective made the story meaningful. Studio refused to move. They considered it risky. His heart broke, Mel said. Richard knew the decision, but it hurt. His time and creativity went into a film he believed in. He had to let someone else play his role. Mel cast Cleavon Little, who excelled. Cleavon was charming, timely, and controlled. Made the role his. Mel kept wondering what Blazing Saddles would have been like with Richard as Bart. He said Richard was uncopyable in his wildness. Something in his eyes, just beneath the surface, made every moment dangerous and exciting. Mel thought Richard would have brought more power to the screen. Still, Mel knew the studio was right. Richard was difficult to manage. He sometimes arrived late to writing sessions. He sometimes never showed up. Mel said his moods were unpredictable. He was brilliant one day, full of jokes and ideas. The next day, he was quiet, distracted, or missing. Mel said working with Richard was like waiting for lightning. You lost control. You couldn't plan. But its impact was unforgettable. Writing was chaotic. Mel wrote Blazing Saddles with several writers, including Richard. Room was wild. Ideas flew everywhere. People shouted, argued, and laughed until they cried. Richard's honesty and energy set the film's tone. He wrote shocking, bold scenes. Mel said Richard gave the film bite. Mel believed in Richard's talent despite the chaos. He called him one of the best writers and comedians to date. He added that Richard lived in his own world, a world of genius and suffering. Richard was fighting his demons. His personal life was chaotic. His career was fast and erratic. Mel wanted to help, but he needed a filming partner. Finally, he couldn't risk it. Mel regretted losing Richard as star. He said Richard's voice remained in the film, but not his face. Richard created the jokes, tone, and fearless storytelling. Mel still wanted to share the screen with him. They remained friends after the film. Mel was never resentful. His respect for Richard was excessive. He saw him as an artist who didn't always fit movie sets, but he saw the cost of freedom. 6. Anne Bancroft Mel Brooks used to say that his favorite actor was also his hardest. His wife, Anne Bancroft. She was more than a great actress. She was strong, sharp, and outspoken. Their collaboration on To Be or Not to Be was fast and real. Mel and Anne married over 40 years. Love was deep and lasting. When the cameras rolled, they weren't easy on each other. Working together revealed sides of them few saw. To Be or Not to Be was their biggest co-star project. Mel produced and starred, and Anne played the female lead. Remaking the 1942 World War II classic, it combined comedy, drama, and politics. Both the film and its arguments were bold. Mel later said Anne was the hardest to direct. Not for lack of talent. She was more talented than most actors he knew. Problem? She treated him like her equal, not her director. Anne wasn't shy on set. She criticized lines. If a scene felt wrong, she argued. She didn't care if Mel planned or wrote it. She shared her ideas. Anne never let Mel get away with anything, Mel said. If his direction was wrong, she told him immediately. If he requested more emotion in a scene, she raised an eyebrow and asked, "What kind?" She waited, arms crossed, for his real answer. He admitted she scared him sometimes. She was smart and ahead of the game, not mean. He joked that she was the only actress who made him doubt every note. They often fought during filming. Their fights were intense but never loud or cruel. Mel requested a line delivery, but Anne said it wasn't character appropriate. He wants more energy. She wants depth. The crew quickly learned to back off when the two got involved. Despite the tension, the scenes were beautiful. Anne energized the film with her strength and elegance. Her timing, expressions, and chemistry with Mel made the story work. Mel said Anne could find the truth in any line. Although the dialogue was silly, she grounded it. She played honestly, not for laughs. Honesty often enhanced the humor. Offset, things calmed. They didn't argue at home. Mel said they remarried after leaving the studio. When he made tea, she asked about his day. After returning to set, it was game on. Mel often joked about her difficulty. She was his toughest actress to direct. He said she was the most beautiful, brilliant, and could break him with one sentence. He described how she would read a line he wrote, look at him and say, "Really?" He doubted everything after she gave him a look. But she'd rewrite it in her head and say it perfectly. Every time. Anne pushed Mel to improve. Nobody could challenge him like she did. It made filming difficult, but the movie was stronger. Despite the tension, their work on To Be or Not to Be showed their trust,